for many people, the reality of climate change is hard to grasp. In our culture, the past just gets plowed under, paved over, and the future, it's often just a fiction to us, usually science fiction of some kind these days. We tend to focus on the present, the short term, the gratification of my needs and desires here and now. But climate change is bigger than my personal experience in the present moment. Its impact is global, unfolds over time, and can last hundreds or thousands of years. It's so big, many of us just can't grasp it. But it strikes me that people of faith, people like us, ought to be on the forefront of recognizing the danger of climate change because of our awareness of time, connection, and moral responsibility. Unlike the wider culture, our faith tradition calls us to awareness of the distant past. Every week we come here and read texts that are thousands of years old that speak to us of those who have gone before us and draw our minds even back to the beginning of all things. We hear the words of prophets pointing toward the future, calling us to awareness of how our choices in the present will impact our lives and the world. Our tradition calls us to a deep sense of connection with one another, with our neighbors, and with the whole creation. We are branches on the vine of Christ, part of one body, people in covenant with one another, with the Creator, and as it tells us again and again in the story of Noah, with all living things. As people of faith, we're aware that our actions matter. How we live matters. Everything in our tradition teaches us that living in harmony with God's law, the Creator's intentions, Christ's way, all the different words that we use for that, living in harmony with that way leads to peace in our hearts and shalom in the world, peace in every direction. On the other hand, our tradition also teaches us that choosing to break covenant, to live in disharmony with one's neighbor's creation and Creator's spirit, leads to alienation, violence, and destruction. Destruction in every direction. The choice is ours. That's the teaching of our tradition. So as people of faith, we know these things deep in our bones with our rootedness in the past and our awareness of the arc of cosmic history, with our deep sense of mutual covenant and moral responsibility. We have a special calling, it seems to me, to lead the way on the personal and social changes that are needed, to turn away from environmental devastation and toward a more sustainable future for all God's creatures. And that's what John is here to talk to us about today, the threat of climate change and what it means for us in this time. So John, thank you again for joining us.